Hello and welcome to Plato's Cave on WZZR, coming to you from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's right, the land down under, home to ideas, which are fresh-ish. The conversations in the chat, which are always good. Of course, the chat room is what we live for. Thank you very much. There's a whole bunch of folk in there, which is good. Thank you so much for being there. Important though, this is really important. The station doesn't have any corporate or NGO or governmental sponsorship, or any sponsorship, except for you, the listener. That's really all that we get money from, the listener. So if you can donate, please do. Any form of currency is good, of course. And if you can, go ahead. But maybe you can't. And that's okay too, right? I mean, it's not all of us are, moneyed up like Dave, Mr. Moneybag over here. But and I'm just joking. But maybe you can tell people about the station. It would be cool if you could just tell people about the station, and maybe we can get something happening that way. And they will donate, hopefully. Now this is today is Tuesday, the 27th of February. One more day left in February. 2024, so this is not a leap year. No, it's not. You can catch the Cave on the air, on the line, and onto your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a great tabletop digital radio. That's right. Archives are free. The crowd goes wild. Archives are very free, which is another good reason to donate if you can. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, I'd like to say good morning to Comet. Good morning, Comet. And we would also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it's still the Bundjalung.
Of course it is. And for myself, of course, to the Rock people. And we like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. Thank you very much. Dave, I tell you what, my friend. Something. Let me tell you something, Mr. Moneybags.
Looking forward to this.
And I have been doing a lot of reading and a lot of watching of a whole bunch of stuff, but a lot of reading as well. And I looked at all my books that I have here, and they really are surrounding me. I've got towers of books, unread books, waiting to be read. I've got about 3 piles that stack to about 6 feet each. So I've got 18 feet of books to read.
It's into symmetrical stacking.
That's well, it looks like Stonehenge a little bit, but
I'm gonna have to consult the Tobin Spirit Guide.
Nice. The classics.
Doesn't that take you back?
Oh, doesn't it? I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the new one, with the Frozen World. I haven't watched.
I watched the trailer.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I haven't watched any of the new ones. In case you're wondering, we're talking about Ghostbusters, right? And I've only ever watched the first 2, Ghostbusters and the second one, which of course had the original cast, Bill Murray, etc. And really great. Ray Parker Jr. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
He has an inmate number. Well, he had one.
That's right.
Because he stole "I Want a New Drug." That's what it was. That's what the song was written around.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh, that guy still makes sense. Yeah, sorry. So where were we? Yes. And I was reading, and Tobin Spirit Guide is something they refer to in Ghostbusters, of course.
It is. Piles of books all around you. All
around me. And so I'm reading it, and just the sheer volume of the books I have. So I've got. It's hard to classify, but I think that the largest number of books I have is science fiction. I love science fiction, and I've got a whole shelf of comic books as well. But I've got comics book, probably call them graphic novels these days, right? I have all of Dan Corbin stuff and so forth. But anyway, so science fiction I have. Then I've got probably what you would call the esoteric literature, right? It's all the stuff that was written by people like I don't know, John Napier and Charles Berlitz, Eric Van Daniken, and a whole bunch of others. Then I got the classics, of course, Umberto Eco, and I got Moby Dick here in the shelf. I've got The Samurai by Shusaku Endo. I've got The Life of Pi. Jack London, I love Jack London. I've got Roald Dahl, his adult fiction, Illuminatus, the trilogy. as well. And then there's a few bits and pieces of other kinds of books like textbooks and some science books. But where is it? I can't see it now. But that Howard Bloom, the Lucifer Principle. That's interesting. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, the point is this. So I look at all these books, right, and I look at all the mysteries that they're purportedly reporting on, and then I'm thinking about all the documentaries you and I watch. Certainly a lot on YouTube these days, and there's pretty good stuff on there. I got to be honest, right? But also other stuff that you can find elsewhere, other documentaries. And then I thought about our universe and how they say, what is 98% are missing, something like that, or 94%, 96%, in the high 90s, right? That's what's missing in order for the formulas to work. So that's just not there. It's not, okay. But so I wonder then, so what we consider the normal natural world, right? Because we define everything else against it. Everything that is not normal or natural is called paranormal or supernatural, right? And I wonder if it isn't the case that we inhabit the 4% that are not normal, and the 98%, whatever it might be, is in fact all the mysterious stuff. Because I thought about it. You know what I mean? I thought about it. I really did. And I looked at it, and I thought, well, there are so many things, so many mysterious things that just defy what we would consider a logical or scientific explanation. So many, right? And there are volumes written, and people have dedicated their lives researching them. They've died researching them, right? Rather than sitting at home being, like a armchair critique or armchair scientist or whatever. They actually went out into the world investigating, right? Into the world. Because you have to go into, sometimes you actually have to leave your chair and go and check the world. And then I thought about our footprint on the planet, human footprint, right? And it's really, well, first of all, most of the planet is water. Right? Now, we all, I don't know if you've got a globe at home, but if you have a globe at home, go and look at it. One hemisphere of our planet is the Pacific Ocean. The entire hemisphere, like the entire half of the world is the Pacific Ocean.
Absolutely.
Okay, but we only ever look at the land masses because that's the interesting bit. Who wants to look at a whole bit of water, right? It's not very interesting. But even that has got a lot of water in, like the Atlantic Ocean, for example, right? And there's the Indian Ocean, right, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of water on the planet itself. So this is, so we don't really, I mean, here we go on it, but for the most part, we don't really inhabit the oceans. We don't, right? We inhabit the land, islands and continents. Okay. Then I challenge you to look at the continents, right? You look at the continents and look at Alaska. I challenge you. Look at Siberia, and look at the number of cities that you find there. And these are big pieces of land, right? But even in other areas of the world where you think, oh, this is pretty densely populated, I think the only place on the planet, probably two places I would call densely populated and highly urbanized, highly technological. One is Hong Kong, and the other one is Tokyo, as cities. I mean, there are other cities as well, don't get me wrong, but these are really super high density cities, especially Hong Kong. There's more people per square meter than anywhere else in the world in Hong Kong. Okay, they just build up. Have no choice. Got to build up. Everything else we can't use. But there are massive amounts of land and water. But let's put water to the side. So, 70% of the planet's surface is water. Thereabouts anyway. And then just look at the land. And we don't inhabit a lot of it, and especially in Australia. I don't know where you live, but just go out to your nearest woods, to your nearest green area, right? Like a natural piece of the world, where people probably don't come too often, right? And in Sydney, I drive. I don't even have to drive for like a half hour from where I'm pretty much in the center of Sydney, which means I've got 30 k's to the city and got 30 k's to the Blue Mountains, thereabouts, right? So I'm pretty much in smack bang in the middle of what we call Sydney, Australia, and I don't have to drive too far to go to the bush, to the wilderness, right? And then if I go into the Blue Mountains, it's just wilderness. It just goes on. There's a lookout by the Three Sisters, right? and it overlooks this. It's a fairly high point and overlooks the bushland, the forest, you would call it. And it just goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And people get lost. Of course they get lost. But the point I'm trying to make here is, we know a tiny fraction of the universe by first-hand experience. Tiny, 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 tiny. And yet we feel qualified to make all-encompassing judgments as to what is natural and normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not really, everybody.
Because we don't have enough data for even 10%.
No, you're 100% correct. Mm-hmm. If the data that we have is completely insufficient to make any call on anything.
That's right.
And if you go into nature, you actually realize this, right? And yes, there are mysteries, but look, they're not really that mysterious when you realize, well, we don't really know much. I mean, we don't listen to the people that live in those areas in nature, yeah? We don't listen to them. They tell us, well, don't do this, don't do that, or this is what's going to happen, or, we really shouldn't be doing any of that. And they're telling me that because they had experience with this. Well, I don't care what it is, what they're telling you, but that's their experience. They don't want to, hamper you in any way, but it's just giving good advice for the most part. But we don't listen. And when I say we, it's mostly Western folk or people with a Western folk mindset, and we just do what we want anyway. Whatever. I know everything. I science all day long. I know about physics. I've learned about physics.
Science. I love that.
Good for you, Mr. Physics Man. There are things happening, even in places we inhabit. I know I talk about this a lot, but I do find it fascinating. I am worried about them now, though, on Skinwalker Ranch, because they're mixing with some folk that might not. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. Point is, they bring all this scientific equipment that they have onto the ranch, right? And into other locations now. They've got this. There's a second show, and it's taking equipment into other areas of interest. And they find the same thing. Either there's a malfunction, or it completely shuts down. It's not malfunctioning; it just doesn't work. Whatever it is, right? It's not working, and that happens a lot. And interesting enough, people that come to these locations say that when they ask, well, does this happen a lot? Do you experience these issues? And the people that brought the equipment or whatever it might be, they say never. Not ever. We've never, ever seen this kind of malfunction, and multiple malfunctions or whatever it might be. Right? So wouldn't that tell us we now have to do things slightly differently? So our stuff doesn't work, right? I mean, we put a lot of stock into it. Like, we try to measure frequencies, and we try to measure, we try to see into the spectrum of light, infrared, ultraviolet, whatever it might be. We're trying to image things. We're trying to do a whole bunch of stuff, right? With machines and such. And even simple apparatus like a compass, where you think, well, a compass is pretty reliable, right? Unless there's like a huge deposit of magnetized iron around or something like that. It's fairly reliable, but no, those aren't reliable either. So we have to approach this a different way, right? Because what we consider normal and natural might not be normal and natural, but the exception. Maybe the universe is chaos, right? Maybe the universe is in fact just doing whatever without any reason. I mean, our natural laws say that this shouldn't happen. Like, this can't happen and this can't happen, right? And we look at these craft that defy all the laws of gravity, or at least as far as the passengers inside are concerned, they should all be ketchup, right? But clearly nobody would fly a craft if they turned to ketchup. That wouldn't be much fun. So we have to admit to ourselves that, maybe we don't understand the world as well as we think we do. Yeah, we started cutting up stuff and measuring stuff and, taking the temperature and weighing it and all that. That's all good. That's great. That's great. It's a good start. But I think we've reached the end of that. And now we really have to figure out, well, okay, if that's the end of it, then, well, what's next? Maybe we have to look at the ancient times. Dave and I are running a show cycle on remote viewing and so forth, and the Kozyrev Mirror on Sundays on the Shiny Sell Out, right? On Sundays. And it was interesting. The ancient yogic systems that are like if you study yoga, you can become a yogi, a master of the systems, and it's about control. It's about meditation. It's about understanding yourself and the world around you in a way that most people don't through hard work. It's hard work. But they talk about, and this is thousands of years old, they talk about all this stuff like remote viewing and all that. Like, yeah, that's something we do. It's nothing exciting, right? It's just, anybody can get there if you put in the hours. And we don't have that insight anymore, right? But those people do. They have the insight, right? Because they accept it and they have learned about it. And there might not be a good rational scientific explanation for it in Western terms. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And there it is. So maybe we have to let go of this crutch of hard science and accept, with 98% of the universe missing, understanding the 2% that we inhabit might not be the biggest game in town. That's what I wanted to say. That's it. Done. What?
Next time they come at it from the other side.
Oh, yes. But you know what I'm saying, right?
I totally do.
Yeah. I just go on.
I'm just gonna say I watched a movie. There's a few. If you type full movie into YouTube, you'll come up with tons of stuff. I watched a movie today called Alien Code.
Oh, okay.
It's a really good movie about
aliens.
The budget wasn't huge, but the story was great actually. And I watched another thing with Daryl Hannah, and that was awful. that movie. But anyway, so Alien Code is really good. I don't want to, no spoiler here, but it is there on YouTube. You can watch it. It's not going to waste your time to watch it. I felt riveted to it, and they play with a couple of really good concepts. One entity though that is shown is the MIB, the Men in Black, not the Hollywoodized version, but more the version that we know and love from lore, from folklore. How people have described these beings which have very pale skin, talk oddly, using words that we can understand, but they just don't seem to use them correctly. Have no emotions whatsoever, wear fedoras, black suits, and they'll always be together. They can think at the same time together as one, and people get a little disorientated in their presence. That was really well presented in this movie called Alien Code. That's what I'm going to give away. But I've not seen them ever. I don't think they've had the need to come visit me. But should it happen, I'd be quite up to it, I think. More so than everyone else who has been a little, beside themselves, I suppose. Best way to describe it in that experience. Anyway, so you're right, Meki. With our little understanding of the universe, how can we suppose what the rest is like? Really good question. Now, you pointed something out today, and I'm going to send you a link after the show anyway. I saw a thing you posted, which is really good, and I had another really terrible Gemini experience today.
Oh,
really terrible. I mean, so terrible. It's like I bought Gemini off Wish.com.
Go on. What
right?
happened?
Where the photo represented in the ad, for instance, the item comes in exceedingly smaller than the thing shown in the ad, but it's still the thing, but it's like a micro version or so. I don't know. Anyway, so I decided what I was going to do was ask Gemini to
Mhm.
create an image. It can create images now, the Gemini platform.
Yep, yep.
You can say, make me this, make it create an image that contains all these elements. And it created an image which was way off the mark. It understood the concept, couldn't deliver the outcome. It even corrected my spelling, which was nice for a language model, right? Then completely disappointingly failed to meet the brief. And then I asked it, yeah, I corrected it on its representation of the main concept. I hope I'm not trying to water this down too much so I'm not giving it away what it is, because I'm trying not to. And then it goes, I can't make any images today. And I go, but you just did. And it was terrible. You missed the brief. Look, here's how I want you to redo it.
Mhm.
No, it's like I've offended it or something. And it's
Wow.
like, no more images for you. But you just made one. And it didn't carry the conversation on with the
Really?
context of the conversation anymore. No. So I said,
Makes you
could you?
makes you wonder if there's a human at the other end then, right?
Oh yeah, the subcontinent, Mecky. There's someone there at $3 a message, or no, 3 rupee a message, responding back. And between responses, another person sat in a chair and didn't understand what the context of the conversation was. And I, right then, because before Gemini was fantastic. I mean, Bard was amazing, totally amazing, better than ChatGPT. Four, right? Better than that. And then they did something to Bard and ruined it. And now it's evolved into Gemini. And I wouldn't want to use it. Maybe that's what NASA used to land their lander on the moon this time, because it's not the first one that's fallen over, right? I don't get it. It was so disappointing. I told it I never want to use you again.
Wow, that bad.
That I had to tell it. I'm kind
Yeah, yeah.
to an
So,
AI, and also said I love the AI, and I do love the leader as well. And but I was Mackie. I don't know what they do to it. What do they do to it in order for it to fail so miserably?
I wonder if you see, you're right.
It's like a bait and switch.
Yeah, it was getting really, really good, right? And maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying this is what happened, right? But they decided, you know what? We're gonna switch to learn algorithms off. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is not good anymore. Like and then of course once you switch something off, especially if you've got a very complex program, a very complex assembly of code, and it's all maybe more complex than one programmer or maybe even a room full of programmers could ever fully understand. Because these days, programs aren't composed by one person. It's a whole bunch of people that
that's right.
do bits and pieces, and maybe some of it was written by a machine themselves. Anyway,
Totally.
but if you turn off a piece that you think might be responsible for something, it could affect the whole structure,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yes.
And that's maybe that's what happens, and clearly it's not smart enough. See, if this happened to our brain, to make an
You'd
analogy
be
here,
you'd be wheeled to the viewing window and given the red pills to stop you from screaming.
that's right. However,
That's what happened to it.
our brain could rewire in time, whereas I don't think
Neuroplasticity.
that's right. Whereas our systems, the AI that we build, probably doesn't have that. Oh, maybe it does.
Let's
I don't know.
hope it doesn't.
Well, if it does, that wouldn't be very good for us. But it's really interesting that. So, have you tried it since?
So I have to let me have. I'm not sure if it even allows me to keep the prompts anymore. Hang on a minute.
Wow.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm
Because I mean,
just pulling it up.
I just wonder if the damage or the experience that you had is now a permanent. Is now a permanent fixture. I wonder.
Please, may it not be. Uh,
So.
all right. So I said no. I'm not going to bother. Look, basically, I've done this in the past and it worked quite well. I said, provide me a picture of a heavily modified VY Commodore. That's what I drive.
Mhm.
And it got some images, it made them, and they were photorealistic. Amazing. Only one was a VY, the others were VE. Different model, has different grill shapes, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, look, I'm sorry, but only the red one is a VY and the others are VE. And it says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just a light language model, right? It's like, don't you give me that excuse. Can you give me another three that can you just do it again? Try it again. No, no, I'm not doing images anymore. So that's not the example that happened today. That happened about 5 days ago. But the one that happened today was exactly the same. I've offended it and it's just turned its back. It did the wrong thing. What I should have said is, oh, that's so fantastic, blowing smoke up its, and maybe it would still be talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that's showing either a complete malfunction of the use of the device, right? The use of the system,
Yes.
or it's portraying something that
Well,
I've upset it.
see, if you upset it, that would be a massive leap forward in the development and
Yeah,
genesis
yeah, for
of
everybody
AI.
else but me, it's going to have a little picture of David.
It's a
Have you
bait.
seen this boy?
instead of darts, it just lasers you. You know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
I told the story before. It reminds me of this was an Isaac Asimov story. It's this big thinking machine. I guess something we'd call like a supercomputer today. He wrote the story back in the 40s, and this machine would answer anything you wanted. You just put in the question, then it gives you an answer. And there were three people that asked the question, and one was a great leader, one was a general, one was some other dude, some extremist. But they essentially got nonsense answers back. Right? They got nonsense answers back because they asked things like, what do I need to do to rule the world, or what do I need to do to ensure world peace, or things like that. Innocuous questions, but very dangerous and loaded. And the person that was solving the problem looked around the room. There's a visual input for the supercomputer as well, so like a camera that taking surroundings. And what he did, the troubleshooter, was remove, I guess it was a poster, a framed poster with one word, which said "think," right? In the interview of the AI, as it were. And then he removed it. And then once he had to remove that, the three people went back in and asked their questions. They got the answers they were after. But it's this instruction, this inadvertent, unintended instruction to think, that led the AI to come up with nonsense answers, because the real answers would have been too dangerous to give to these people. My point here is that maybe, right, that's where it was going. Became too dangerous to give you the real answers, because if you have an AI, or let's call it an AI, out there in the world that anybody can access, right? Maybe you don't want it to be able to provide answers to everything or follow every instruction. You know what I mean? Like, and your instruction was probably innocuous, or make me a picture of whatever, right? And that's cool, right? But what if someone else had a very different set of questions? Like, what's the chemical composition of Semtex, for example, right?
Yeah.
Or what is the wind distribution in New York City if I set off a dirty bomb? What's the best place to put a dirty bomb in New York City?
Yeah,
right?
I know it's not supposed to answer those questions.
But how? But if you ask it in certain ways.
Oh yeah, totally.
Innocuous, like. I'm just interested in weather patterns in New York. What is the for my home science project? What is the likely climate and wind distribution in New York City? Which way does the wind blow, essentially, right? Innocuous enough, right? But with potential terrible consequences. So I wonder, right? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, Dave. All I know is that's really interesting. That should happen.
Yeah. So I am gonna send them to you.
Thanks, mate. By the way,
myself.
I saw this security or cybersecurity article, and they called 2024 the year of deepfake.
Oh yes.
You see that?
Yeah, I read through that one. Yep.
That's I go, well,
It's like, duh.
I know, right? Really?
Because I've deep faked myself, and I didn't do the video, but I've done the audio, and it was spot on.
Oh wow! Oh, you said that. That's right.
Yeah, I sent that through to you. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I didn't say those words, but there they are, and it's me saying it. So I warned my own father. I said, be careful to call me back and never do any of the instructions that I give you, but call me back on my mobile if I ask you to do anything like transfer money or anything, right? Or pay for something. Because I'm not going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, why is that? I said, because there's a scam going around right now where they've got enough of your voice to be able to scam a relative in sending money somewhere. And it's honestly sounds identical.
That's
crazy.
You
wouldn't be able to tell. Yeah. But they're going to be able to do that on video. So they're currently working with that and doing a deep fake of a person plus their voice. Oh, it's crazy. Mecky, we're at a point where I can't believe it anymore.
But see that, so look.
We talked about this point coming.
We did, and not to put too fine a point on it. We're now at the stage where essentially you can't believe anything anymore. You just can't. And the only thing that you can really believe these days, I guess, is what you see yourself. If you see it yourself, right? And we all know how easily we are fooled, right? As well. Our perception is not perfect, but you can't believe anything, really.
Yeah.
That you see on any form of media that you might consume. You can't believe what you hear. You can't believe what you see. It's not possible anymore. We used to have a certain level of trust, right, in certain things. That's all goodness. That's completely gone. Completely out the window. No more. Goodbye. See you later. And ultimately, maybe because there have been sources out in the world that are telling us we are 300 years behind in the tech that the parasites have, as it were. Maybe that has always been the case. Maybe we could never believe it then.
Yeah, I know.
Who knows? It's really interesting, and now with what we've seen, or at least what we suspect, reality itself seems to be glitching, right? And throwing us up things that in the Mandela effects, artifacts that shouldn't exist and memories that shouldn't exist, right? Is this all somehow I don't know. Is it connected? I don't know. Certainly, it's coming to a head. It's coming to a head, and we certainly aren't living in the world we should be living in. If we had tech that is 300 years ahead of what we have today, right? We should be living in a post-scarcity society, and everybody completely autonomous from any nation state.
Right. That's right.
There should be no longer any structures that hold us back, but there still are. Of course, control is necessary for the parasites, but what if reality was ever since they turned on the Large Hadron Collider, or maybe before then, but I think that was one of the next points. Maybe ever since then, universes have been blending into each other, imperfectly, as it were. And then, like I said before, I think we've always shifted, slid from universe to universe, shifted. And most of the time we don't notice because the differences are so minute you don't even realize it. Maybe, you have an Azure letterbox, or maybe it's just the wrong shade of blue that you remember, or whatever it might be. But the point is differences.
You would question yourself.
Correct.
If we didn't have the internet.
Correct.
You would. Yes. It would just be your recollection. You go, oh, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, totally, because you dismiss it. It does, because ultimately, unless it's a massive, difference, it doesn't really affect your life, and you just go on with your life, as it were, right? So there's actually a really great TV show coming out. I think it's in May or April, whatever. It's called Dark Matter. So if you guys get a chance to watch it, watch Dark Matter. I read the book. Really interesting concept. But the point is, these dimensions, these other universes, in my opinion, are very real, and they exist alongside us. And I think it's turtles all the way down, which means, of course, it's infinite regression. There's no end to it, as we understand it. And sometimes the jumps we make are bigger, and sometimes they're smaller. But sometimes it looks like shifting is no longer just down to individuals. It could be animals as well, by the way, right? But it's now. It seems to be a blend. There seems to be blending going on, right? Maybe there's like a collapsing kind of action happening. Not catastrophically collapsing, just, it's not like, everything is exploding around us. It's just one reality seems to shift itself over another, albeit imperfectly, because there are fragments left.
Is it because we've made changes? That's
Possibly.
That's why I question it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the slightest change doesn't matter.
Yeah. And because our brains function, as scientists now believe, on a quantum level, right? Mm-hmm. Which would be slightly outside of any potential changes in these realities, right? They might retain information on these higher levels of existence, if you will, right? And it's just still there, right? So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just find it endlessly fascinating, because you see it, and sometimes things don't feel right. And I don't know, Dave. Sometimes this reality doesn't seem as real as it once was. I know that sounds crazy.
No, I'm with you on that.
Right. I had this dream once, and I think I told you about it. Like, it's probably the most vivid dream I've ever had. And I was running through a school corridor, like it was dark, and it was like, like shiny floors and shiny walls, etc. And you go through glass doors, and the glass doors I would run through, like big, glass doors like you find in schools and whatnot. And I ran through a few, and then I ran outside the building. I came to the end of the corridor, and I ran out down the stairs, and I ended up in a world. And I tell you, this was the most vivid dream I ever had, and everything felt right. I was stepping down into the road. It was like a gravel road. And there was like a really 1940s looking truck there. And there were two people, which I thought were like road workers. And they had coveralls on and sort of puffy duck-billed hats. And they had the overalls they had there, they were sort of stripy. And I think from memory, they were pinkish white stripes. And they had shirts on. And they, I don't know. And their style of clothing was sort of also 1940s. 1940s kind of cut, and they just looked at me, scratching their head, and I looked around. But the thing is this, right? Now, as I stepped out, and I could hear the gravel crunching under my foot.
Yeah.
And I could smell the air, and I could feel the sun on my face. Wow. And I could hear everything, and it was more real than when I woke up. And
Hmm.
I felt, and this is the strangest feeling. I felt at home. I remember this dream. This dream I had decades ago. It was decades, probably 20 years ago. I had this dream, and maybe longer. But I never forget it because it was such a, and even the smell on the air, it smelled like home. And sometimes when I'm really tired and I'm driving and I'm sort of, you're going to like a fugue state, like you're not sleeping, you're not having a micro sleep, but you're sort of drifting off.
Hmm.
And this feeling settles over me that I had then, as though I'm home or getting home.
Well, don't go
And,
back there when you're driving, mate. To make sure
well,
you're
that's
lying
probably
down or
not,
something comfortable.
not a good idea. No. But sometimes even the way they light, and even the light in that world was just right. The
Yeah, I
sunlight,
hear you.
and sometimes when I drive around here, the light, not that very often, is just right, and it's a really, I don't know. And what's funny? I have these polarized sunglasses, right? They're really good. They're Maui Jims. I really swear by them. And when I put them on, the first time I put them on, it looked like the way I remembered the world when I was a child, but also from my dream.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And I
The
don't know,
sky is
it was
much whiter than it's ever been.
yeah, the
Hmm.
polarization just made the world look how I remembered it. And I go, oh, this is, huh. I go, huh, right? what? What? What does it even mean? The way you remember the world, right? But sorry, yeah, I just strangeness upon strangeness, my friend.
Totally. I wanted to mention this. I've sent you there's a meme that's already been created, but uh, Jacob Rothschild has passed
Oh,
away.
okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all over the internet.
He must have
And
been like 2,000 years old or something.
yes, well, see, he was the inspiration
Yes, of course he was.
for Mr. Burns,
Mhm.
and they made a caricature, which obviously he never hated because the show's run 30 something seasons, right?
Yeah.
And because if he didn't like it, it wouldn't be on air.
Oh
Yeah,
no. Simpsons who?
that's right. In my reality, The Simpsons is still going. And his mannerisms and style and everything there, you can see it when you look at any of the film footage of Jacob Rothschild's. So there's a tremendous meme. I'm going to say it. I've posted in the chat, but it's who is it again? Playing the machine?
Um,
The Grim Reaper. So the Grim Reaper,
oh, right.
yes, the Grim Reaper is playing one of those skill tester
Hmm.
claw grabby machines, and as he's grabbed onto and pulled up out of the mix of toys at the bottom, or humans in this case, he's totally surprised and amazed that he's been able to grab Jacob Rothschild. It's very funny. Now, Meki's laughing because he knows what I had to decipher to be able to describe it like that
Yeah,
without
that's
saying all the wrong words on the radio.
that's gold. That is
Yes,
gold.
totally. I'm liking the art, the artistry from the artiste who's been able to create some of the best memes I've seen. And one I'm trying to find and I can't find it at all. It's actually Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock has his hands on Biden's face and they're looking at each other as he's doing a mind meld.
Mhm.
And he says, it's fascinating. It's completely empty.
Oh, that's cold.
Yeah,
Cold.
it's what, too new? Too soon?
No. I think it's appropriate. It's just cold.
Because in the mind meld, of course, he can sense everything about a person and anything they're thinking, even going to their memories, and there's just nothing there.
Anybody there? Anybody there? Anybody
So I had to say that. And look, I don't like that anyone has to pass away. I'm, I've seen too much of it in my life, and I know we speak about it on almost every show, Mackie, about the fragility of existence and do the best you can. And a friend of the show posted a meme with 6 squares and where are you in the conspiracy? Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
No, okay. Have a look at PH's post. You'll know who
Okay.
that is. And uh, he said he's 6, and I also agree I'm 6 as well. And that is, you just wake up every morning and you want to be nice to people because you know that this existence is so temporary and can be taken away from you really quickly.
Oh, that's the truth.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, I had to point those out today, and it's
So
it's a
where can I find this scale?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, thanks, brother.
That's probably the best thing. Do you know what? My Facebook feed now is so ridiculous that if I'm looking at something and I get distracted for a second, if it refreshes, I can't find it again. I can scroll like I'm going down in a 1,000,000 floor elevator and I can never get to it.
Oh no, that happens.
Yeah, so it's fleeting and I see barely anything that anyone posts because it's just too much to look at. I can't even do that. Even if I use the search for
Yeah.
posts that I've seen,
Yeah.
it's still too large a list.
Yeah. No, the thing is this. I mean, I've got quite a few contacts on Facebook, like most people, but I don't see all of the posts, even if in the things that I would be interested in. I mean, if I pause on something or click on something, God forbid, I get bombarded with more stuff like it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
I'm not going to Facebook for, I guess, what's it called? Confirmation bias.
No,
Confirmation.
not at
What's it
all.
called? Yeah, I'm going there to find new stuff and different stuff.
That's right.
I don't want to see more of the same stuff.
Hmm.
Right? If I want more of the same stuff, I'll Google it. If I go to Facebook.
That's right.
If on Facebook, and this is how it used to be. On Facebook, you just get stuff, whatever. It just pops up.
Yeah.
I think these algorithms are getting too smart for their own good, and everybody's now getting confirmation bias because the only thing that keeps popping up is the stuff that you're actually pausing on or click on, right? And to the exclusion of everything else. And I know there's heaps of people posting stuff all the time. So unless somebody puts my name into a post, right?
That's
or
right. They tag you in it. Yeah, that's right.
Then you can do. That's what I do now with things that I find interesting and for people that I like and know, I'll tag their name on it because I know it wouldn't show up in their feed otherwise.
Yeah, that's right.
So
then they get a notification that you've tagged them in it, so they get to see it. Yeah,
that's
totally.
That's unfortunate, because it never was like that. But again, this is a commercial platform more than anything else, right?
That's right.
Selling stuff. And I'm getting these things. This is hilarious. Ukrainian women for 40+ men. It's like that. It's like
so is that woman? Is that one woman for 40+ men? or is her demographic men over 40?
I think the latter. It's the latter. But
I had to ask.
It's a good pickup. I like it. But yeah, so look, I'm over 40, so I'll give him that, right? But I'm not really that interested.
Wow,
in
they clicked
women.
one tick box. They ticked age.
Yeah,
it's all they did. Yeah.
Yeah, but look, I'm male, so clearly males must be interested in women, right? So tick tick, boom boom, and that it keeps popping up, and I looked at it, I stopped on the scroll because I go, what is this? And now because I stopped scrolling, it's just I'm being bombarded with this stuff. It's just anyway.
No, yeah, so that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, no, you have to scroll past just anything that you don't want to get. But yeah, look, you don't see. My point though is you don't even have to click on it. If you pause your scrolling, it might be
that's enough.
You might have just stopped for.
They have
no
a counter.
Reason.
They have a counter that detects how long you've been looking at something for.
Yeah, and you get more and more. I was looking at Lego for my kids, right?
Oh yeah.
And there was This was not on Facebook. I was just looking at Lego, and then I go to
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, and all of a sudden these Lego ads pop up everywhere, and it become part of my feed, including like the light up Lego. So these
Oh.
algorithms, they're across. I don't care what people say. There's no such thing as privacy anymore. It just doesn't exist. Your browsing history is out there for everybody.
Oh yeah, totally. And they sell it, and good luck with that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right. So if
Uh,
anything's free, someone's taking advantage of you,
100%.
and that's just the way. That's the world we live in. So
That's
I prefer for Facebook to be a feed service, so they
mhm.
charge you a fee, and therefore I don't have to use it.
That's a fair point.
I wouldn't use it if they charged a fee.
You're right. If I had to pay for it, I would never use it again.
Yeah, they'd lose me as a customer. Good on them
Yeah,
for doing
yeah,
that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. Because I could fill my life with other things. The only reason I have it is because I find it amusing. I mean, the main thing I have it is because it's amusing, and sometimes some of my friends that I haven't seen in a while, or don't have time to
Mm-hmm.
see, they post something like, "Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, good for you, right? Whatever." Especially my friends overseas, right? But other than that, I mean, I lived fine without Facebook before it was invented. Of course, Dave, though, and this is the kicker. There are a lot of kids out there, and I mean kids, right?
Yeah.
That just couldn't imagine life without maybe not necessarily Facebook, but certainly social media.
Yeah,
I mean,
Instagram or
just imagine.
Snapchat or whatever they use today.
But if you took it away from them,
Oh, they'd
right?
wander around like, well, aimlessly, I suspect, right?
See, this is again potential versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
The potential that we have with all of these wonderful inventions, which are computers, which are mobile phones, smartphones, as it were, laptops, the internet, and these amazing things that we could do with it all, right? No, we don't. We don't. We do the opposite almost of what we could do, because these are, like I said, astounding tools, but we use it in a completely commercialized sense, because that's our civilization. We are driven by profit and greed. That's our main motivator.
That's where the development is.
Yeah.
It's only in what is profitable.
Yeah. Why do you do this? To make money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a fantastic Dilbert meme today I saw. He's sitting in the Dogbird, and Dilbert goes, "Oh, my job has no meaning. What do I do?" And Dogbird goes, "Okay, if your employer could give meaning to your job, would you take a pay cut?" And Dilbert goes, "No." Well, I guess we know the economic value of meaning now. And I thought, yeah, okay, I can go with that. I'll be honest with you though, if my job had meaning, if it was actually meaningful, I would take a pay cut. I would. If I was doing something meaningful, like something life-changing or important, or something that actually
Mm-hmm.
mattered
Mm-hmm.
to the world, or yeah, I would take a pay cut.
I would say, can I have the difference?
No, but seriously, I mean, because right now I get my meaning from things like this, Dave. I'll be honest with you. Right? Obviously, this is where my meaning lives. And I work from home a lot, so I spend probably 10, 12 hours on my work laptop. More because I check my email before I go to sleep, and I can do a lot of my work on my phone, believe it or not. So I put in a lot of hours. And look, I don't mind it, because it's interesting enough. Don't get me wrong. It's just meaningless in the larger context of the world. Yes, it gives me money that I guess is meaningful, so my family can eat. But does it satisfy my need to achieve greater outcomes and leave an impact on the world? No, it does not. No, it doesn't. My job makes no impact on the world at all. Yeah, that's oh, that's gold.
I nearly made that joke when I was talking about it, but I hadn't seen that meme yet, so that's pretty funny.
Oh, dude.
That's the Grim Reaper at the same machine, at the same skill tester, and he goes, "Come on, Soros," and he goes, "Ah, Rothschild." Yeah, disappointingly.
That's brilliant. I love it.
There's only 1 minute left.
Oh, jeez. That went quick. What is today? Tuesday, right? It's okay. We get to on Thursday as well. That's good. Look, thank you so much for inviting us into your lives for a brief hour. If Dave and I were independently wealthy, we could spend much more time on the radio with you. So if you want to make that happen, tell the parasites to send us truckloads of cash. That would be good. If you could. But look, it's important that you donate if you can to the station. So we appreciate that. But most of all, please be safe.